Skip, over your career, you've seen a lot of safe church and safe conduct policies. Is there anything else that you've seen in your time in ministry that's a behavior that doesn't quite fall within a safe church policy as something you shouldn't do, but should be a concern?
Yeah, I want to broaden your question a little bit, Kelly, because I've seen some behaviors that are difficult and I don't think healthy that run a gamut beyond the typical safe church policy. Now, let me just begin with what I think the ideal is. I think the ideal is that we want to nurture into existence youth ministries where every single child believes they have infinite value simply because they are a child of God. And they are equally and infinitely valued by their youth minister or volunteers, irrespective of their giftedness, their participation, their enthusiasm for the program, how much they admire the youth minister themselves, but in the area that gets next to Safe Church, how attractive they are or how charming they are. Now, youth ministers can get this wrong all the way across the board. They can privilege gifted kids and raise them up because it'll make the youth minister look good on Youth Sunday when they give a great devotion. That's destructive of a youth group where what they're finding is the same thing that goes on at the high school. Their value is based on their performance or the capacity for performance. The same thing can be said of their value is based on how enthusiastic they are for the youth ministry. Those folks get more attention than the less enthusiastic kids. How much they admire the youth minister, they get more attention than the kids who admire them less. But the one I want to focus on, because it's closest to a safe church policy, is particularly with young adults, but not exclusively with young adults. Young boys and girls are beginning to live into their sexual identities and capacities and charms. And they rather quickly identify on sports teams or at school, and yes, in youth groups, I can get the attention of this adult leader by my charm or my attractiveness or by lighting up a little flirty conversation. And not only do I get a little of attention, I get a little privilege. And the youth leader can decide, you know, when I engage in this kind of warm, genial, almost flirty behavior, I find they are more interested and they come back more, or they participate more regularly. Both were creating a dynamic in which the value of the child in the program is now no longer just or exclusively that they are a beloved child of God, but how charming, how attractive, how enthusiastic, how flirty they can be with the person leading the program. I think it's actually worse than that. I think we're actually coding and training behavior. If a youth minister is more responsive to an enthusiastic or warm or sparky or flirty conversation with any of their young people, they're joining all those other members of our culture that are training young people. If you want to get ahead, if you want to get attention, you should develop your charming, flirty, attractive capacities because that's the way to get what you want. And that's utterly inconsistent with the idea that they're valuable simply because they're beloved children of God. I had a conversation with Chap Clark once, a fantastic sociologist, youth leader, founder of the Fuller Youth Institute, who said this is for him such a problem. He seriously questions whether we would hire young adults as youth ministers because he can't see a path to successfully stopping this pattern of behavior. I'm not sure I would go that far. It's a very uncomfortable conversation, but it's at least something we need to be attentive to when we think about not just the four square corners of a Safe Church program, but what's outside that program, but also should be of concern to us.